Are single women happier than married women?
Hi, welcome to Design Your Life podcast with me, Carissa, and Alan as our hosts. Today, we're asking ChatGPT whether single women are actually happier than married women. Later on, we'll talk about why single women are not as happier than married women. Now, let's get to it. It is difficult to make a blanket statement about whether single women are happier than married women, or vice versa, as happiness is a complex and subjective experience that can be influenced by many factors, such as personal relationships, career, health, and overall life satisfaction. Some research studies have suggested that single people may be happier than married people because they have more autonomy and independence. Other studies suggest that married people may be happier because they have a partner to share their life with, and the social support provided by a spouse can lead to better physical and mental health outcomes. It is also important to consider that people's happiness level can change over time, and that happiness can be affected by an individual's specific circumstance and context. A study that compared single and married individuals' happiness over time found that both groups reported similar levels of happiness, but for different reasons. Single individuals reported greater happiness from personal growth and self-development, while married individuals reported greater happiness from their relationships and social connections. In summary, happiness is a complex and subjective experience that can be influenced by a variety of factors, and there's no clear consensus on whether single women are happier than married women, or vice versa.
So notice that ChatGPT's response is actually pretty neutral. They try to get everything from both sides. You can tell the people behind the AI purposely trained it so that it's not skewed any one way or the other.
Correct.
So notice that they point out that single women and married women both can be happy, but it's like the single women tend to find their happiness from different points. So like the single women get their happiness more from independence and self-development,
and self-growth and reflection.
and then the married women tend to get their happiness from relationships and connections.
Correct.
So let's dive deep into these two different kinds of happiness.
And so the surface level of happiness, it's a more of a one-off kind of feeling. It's more of a feeling that you get only in certain spurts, not prolonged period of time, where you compare it to the longer satisfaction of connecting with one another, and that innate human biology is that we are wired as humans to connect with one another. And when you have these shared experiences, you feel a lot more value, you feel a lot more purpose in life, you feel more driven and passion. Not to say that single women don't feel that way, but they only feel it in a way that's only enclosed within themselves.
So let's talk about the single women happiness, right? So when we talk about self-development and personal freedom, what does that happiness look like?
Some of the examples are you buying a Chanel bag, you tasting a beautiful course meal like, Michelin star, or you buying your first own home, or you getting promoted at work, and
having your pick of the litter with Tinder.
Yes, or exactly. And
so all these are like surface level forms of happiness. They short-term dopamine hits.
Yes.
You're able to pay rent. You're able to source your own food.
You have a lot more freedoms. You have more self-development and growth, personal growth. But at the end of the day, everything is surface level. It seems great and dandy and all, but when you come back home, you have this gorgeous house. You just have everything within your realm of touch. But you realize as you sit and dwell within yourself and you reflect, your innate feelings bubble out and realize, hey, I want to share this special moments with someone.
Yeah, so humans have an innate desire to connect with people. Yeah. And with married couples, they find that within each other. Yeah. Single women, you could still find it with other people, but it's less consistent. It's less deep. Correct.
And it's for a stronger, longer duration of time versus all these short spurts that are spliced out throughout, your life.
Yeah, because the reality is people come and go. They have different priorities. Your best friend, if you're a single woman, might move to a different city. She might get taken up by another guy, and then the time for
Correct.
you
And
is taken
priorities
less.
as well too. So when you have like a nuclear family, your priorities, your North Star are your family. They're the ones that look up to you and everything, versus when you're single, maybe that outlook is more about friends. But as you said, and you touched upon it, they come and go just like the seasons.
So when we talk about these studies that say single women are happier,
What's the difference between health, longevity versus the happiness? Well, there's two differences. Well, longevity may be less, due to less stress, more freedom, independence. But as we said, we reiterated that there is more on the surface level. Yeah, you may live longer, but is it more fulfilled life? Is it more of a purpose, more driven? And is it a quality of life that you really want to live?
yeah. So with those studies that say women live longer, yes, it's like yes, they live longer. Yes, they can have less stress. They have less obligations. So it's like obviously with less stress, you're gonna live longer. So is
Correct.
that the right path? A lot of women would be asking. So what's your take there?
So with the single women, usually they look for more community. They look for more altruism, like volunteer work, or they find other people at meetups, things like that. But as we said before, or like through social media, but everyone knows in social media, everything is a very fleeting kind of thing. It satiates your wants, not your needs. And so those are two different things between needs and wants. What we really need as a human biological person is that innate feeling of the connection that you share. And you want it as a consistency because it creates that stability. When you don't have a stability, then it affects your mental acuteness, your awareness, your health.
So would it be fair to think of it as like this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where it's like single women have more happiness on the base level stuff, like being able to pay rent, being able to get your food and like your basics, being able to travel and do that stuff. And maybe the married couples or the married women have a happiness that's a little bit closer towards a self-actualization, where it's more purpose-driven, connection.
Correct.
and
They
stuff
have
like
more
that.
time to think about themselves, what direction they want to go into in the now and the future, versus if you're a single independent woman, you may have that, but not to the degree that satiates your foundational wants and not even wants, your urges and needs. So when you have that taken care of, with food, finance, and shelter, you've got everything you want at your disposal. But your innate feeling is never going to go away, and it'll still be there. Either if it's a little inkling or a big inkling, human biology has that drive that you want to have pairings or like groupings or bondings. And that's not to say for human beings, it's also animals they see in the wildlife as well too.
So that's our response from ChatGPT. We got a pretty neutral response on single women and married women both being happy. So you could be both happy, but one side benefits more from kind of self-independence, kind of forms of happiness that we're saying tends to be more surface level, whereas married women have happiness coming from sources of connection. All humans have that innate desire to connect. And if you're a single woman and you're able to get that connection in other forms, that can make you happy. It's easier for married women because you just have a default one with somebody who tends to be more consistent. You get that shared experience every day. So of course, some people don't want that level of closeness, but if you want that, that's available as well. So both options are available to you in life, and it's really up to you which path of happiness you choose.